Hello, speakers and leaders. Today we're talking about how to moderate like a boss on Clubhouse. Now, if you have never ever heard of Clubhouse before, I don't have my phone on me, but it's this only social media app, audio based, that you can go chat, you can build relationships with people. We're going to talk a lot more about it. And we have an expert here with us. Her name is Brooke, BabbleOn Brooke. Okay, now it's an international award winning host, TV and stage actor, and Fortune 500 spokesperson turned odds-defying warrior, motivational speaker, and blended business and life coach, focusing on speaking, social media, and mindset. She is the ultimate hype person, creating supportive environments for audience and clients to grow, believing in themselves, and have their voice amplifying is one of her favorite things to do. Now, Brooke is an in-demand Clubhouse moderator, and I'm super excited to have her on with us. Welcome. How's it going?
Hi, Kid. How are you? It's going well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so when it comes to, well, let's just dive right into it. Clubhouse. How does one start to be a good moderator? You're on there a lot. What are some things that you've learned? And you also have a course, but tell us later on too. But how does one start to become a good moderator?
Well, first of all, get on there. So right now it's still only available for iOS, people that have Apple products. Hopefully it's going to be opening up to everyone soon, but for right now it's an invite-only app, so you do need to get an invitation and you need to be on Apple. So that is step one. I recommend going on there and just checking it out, seeing how things are, seeing how people are interacting and engaging, and getting a feel for the app before anything else, because it is different than any social media that we've been accustomed to. So that is step one, and then we'll go into it, I'm sure, more as we're talking today.
Brooke, how long have you been on there? Do you know?
So I officially joined right before New Year's Eve, but I didn't start to get active until about mid-January.
Can I ask you what are some for those who might be thinking, oh, should I even use Clubhouse? Like, what kind of like personal gains,
Oh,
professionally or personally,
you know,
that you get?
I've experienced everything. So I'm a speaker mostly and a coach, and the opportunities to speak on other venues and to coach people. I mean, the clients just came out of the woodwork. So it's blown my mind. It has gone so far beyond any other social media platform that we're used to. So for me, it's why wouldn't you be on there? As long as you can access it. I feel like 1 hour on Clubhouse equals 8 hours or even a week
Yeah,
on any other platform. Don't you feel that way?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But that's great. So Brooke, let's treat today as if the audience, maybe they played around with Clubhouse, they know what Clubhouse could look like already. Now they might be thinking, oh, I want to moderate a room. Maybe they don't know how yet. Maybe they're nervous. So
Right.
what do you have to say to those people who might want to start their own room, but maybe they're hesitating for some reason?
I would say that there is a place for every single person on the app, and to not get too caught up in the comparison game. And we're all guilty of that. We've been there. But to know that your voice is very unique and very special, and your skill set paired with your background and experience is something that no one else has. It's very specific to you. So I would encourage you and anyone listening to just get on and know that there will be a place for you. It might take a little bit of refining, to find that, but it will come.
Okay. What about this, Bill? Before we talk about all the great things people need to do, what about some of the mistakes that you think newbie moderators are making and that
Oh
they
my
need to
God.
know?
That's such a good question. How much time do we have?
Uh, I know we can go on and on. That's why you need to tell us about your course, because this is only the start of the conversation.
Yeah, in terms of mistakes, whew, one of the things is when you go into a room on Clubhouse, if you're not familiar with Clubhouse and you're listening to this right now, the way it looks is that there is a stage, there's a virtual stage, and then there's the audience. And there's different tiers to that, and you'll get used to it. But there are people on the stage. The people on the stage are made up of the moderators and the speakers. Now, they can speak at any time. They have that ability. Their mic is on. what I find people do over and over, and it blows my mind, is that they talk to each other without any recognition of the audience. So I would say that that is one of the biggest things that I see people doing, and I would caution anyone not to get caught up in that, because what's going to happen, your audience is going to leave. They're going to leave the room and they might not ever come back. So now you've taken those people that were once interested in you and your message, and could potentially then, even down the road, if you're a business person, they could become customers or clients. Now you've basically had them feel left out. And that's what we don't want to do. You know, we want to have everyone feel included as part of the community.
It seems like some of these conversations, the people on stage are just talking to each other and they're forgetting about the audience. What would you suggest as ways to bring the audience? Should you just basically call out the audience, use their names? I mean, what if this was just more of a discussion? So should we always bring in the audience?
Well, again, yeah, of course, it depends on the topic. But I would say, for me personally, with the rooms that they're my rooms, so I moderate other people's rooms as well, but if they're mine, then I'm going by my rules, and I want everyone to feel included. And I notice when I do that, the retention rate is higher, and then they come back over and over. So that's exactly what I want. I want everyone to feel welcome. And I think that that's why everyone's on the app in the first place. Otherwise, we'd just be talking to a wall. So I would recommend, if and whenever possible, to get them engaged. I do go into a lot of that in my course, but it can be as simple as just shouting them out and letting them know that you see them. You know, it can be something as easy as that, but it goes a long way.
Nice. Yeah, and I hope for the audience that's watching this live or the replay that you are loving this. Brooke, actually tell us about the course. We kept on mentioning about it. Where can people go to learn more about it? And actually tell us a little bit more about it.
Sure. So it is called Moderating Made Easy, and you can find it at moderatingmadeeasy.com. You can also find it at BabbleOnBrooke.com if you forget the name of it. It is a space where you can learn how to become a comfortable, clear, and confident moderator, but it goes well beyond that. It helps you learn all the ins and outs of Clubhouse, what you need to know on the speaker side as well, how to become a speaker, then how to parlay that into becoming a moderator, then how to parlay that into clients and customers and building your business and community. So there's a lot to it. And yeah, that's at moderatingmadeeasy.com. And in addition to that, there is a monthly membership if you'd like to be part of a community of people who are learning and growing in how to do exactly that. And there are collaboration opportunities. That all starts actually next week. And that is moderator membership. And you can find that as well at moderatingmadeeasy.com.
Brooke, I'm very interested in hearing, do you have any signature things that you do on Clubhouse that you don't think other moderators think? Something that you usually...
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I think a lot of people like when one of the things you do as a moderator, and you learn that in the course, is resetting a room. So there are many different ways that you can do it, and there's things that you really want to focus on when you do it. But if there's ever a way in a room that you can do something different that makes people feel good, I recommend doing that. So when I reset a room, sometimes I'll sing it, because a big part of my background is music, and it just makes sense, you know, and I have it set to a Disney song. It sounds exactly like a Disney song. And so unfortunately I could never sell it, you know, for intellectual property rights, but I can do it on there. And so anything that makes you unique, and I would say that goes across absolutely every social media platform. Don't you feel like my feeling is you're going to be successful when you're authentic and showing yourself, and to really dig deep and figure out what is it that helps you stand apart? What is it that makes you you? So that's on any social platform, and that of course crosses over into Clubhouse.
Got it. What are your thoughts on starting clubs?
You know, they're hit or miss, really. I have 2 clubs. One meets every week. It's called the Inspiration Station. So it's on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific, if anyone would like to join. We talk about inspiration, motivation, mindset, all that good stuff. And I find that it's a really great midweek break for everyone. But in terms of starting a club, I'll be honest with you right now, the algorithm, it's hit or miss. Sometimes you can open a room under a club and it can have a great turnout, but most recently, you've been getting a better turnout when you open a room just privately under your, not privately, but under your specific name as opposed to your club. So that's a really, actually, that's a great segue into knowing updates. And I recommend that everyone do that. That is something that I do in my membership. I give you constant updates. So knowing what's going on, the inner workings of Clubhouse at all times, and what the latest updates are is going to help you so much. It's going to go from, again, you spending an hour on there a day versus the whole day. You know, it's going to help shorten your learning curve and let you do more with your time, maximize your time on the app.
Yeah, and Brooke, speaking about updates, would you mind giving us a little secret of any updates that came? Today is April 20th, 2021. Well, I actually haven't been on the app.
You haven't been on
a few months. So yeah. I'm actually interested. What updates?
I was just thinking that, Kit, because you probably don't know that there's been monetization. Do you know that?
Oh, I don't. So how does that work? Well, actually, no, I can look into it, but if you want to talk about it, you can talk about it.
Yeah, so now you can go on, and they've chosen certain people that have the capability to monetize. And so, yeah, and that's just going to continue to grow.
You need to get verified?
No, it's funny. There's no verified check. I do have the monetization capability, but I haven't done much with it. I mean, it's interesting. It's a big debate right now between Clubhousers as to who's going to be using it, who's not, how are they going to use it, how can it be used for good, how will it potentially change the real authenticity of the conversations that are happening. So I think it's going to be fascinating to see where it goes, because I've been part of other platforms over time that have monetized, and I've seen it go well. I've also seen it go south. I think something that they're talking about, well, I know something that they're talking about on Clubhouse is potentially monetizing the clubs. So as of right now, you can still join a club and you can join for free. But if anyone's listening and there is a club that you would like to join, by all means, do it now before they monetize. So yeah, it's interesting. I think when you bring in any sort of money factor, it can be an opportunity. It can also be, like what's going on here. So I think they're doing that also because they want to steer clear of ads.
Right. So how does that work? So if you are monetized, you start a room and it becomes, I just don't know. That's why I'm asking.
Right. So right now it's each individual that they've given the capability to. So you can be in someone else's room, or you can be in your own room, and someone can actually send you whatever they want, any kind of money. So it's there, it's on your profile. But it's hidden. It's hidden. It's at the bottom. So it's not so in your face, which I like. I think it's nice. People don't go on there and feel like, oh my gosh, now I have to throw a tip to this person or that person. So yeah, it'll be, I think, ask me in another month. It'll be interesting to see how it all works out.
Oh, now I understand. At first, I thought it was kind of like YouTube. The platform is paying you, but no, it's other people paying you.
Correct.
Now that's interesting, because I think this will go into an interesting, conversation further down the line. Now it's how do you get the most tips or, these kind of payment from people. Now I think of it as being a waiter. There are some waiters who are, these professions, people that knows how to get more tips or these things from other people. I'm not saying it's all about money, but I think it'll be an interesting conversation one day in the future when it goes that way.
Definitely. And again, do people even want to do that? So there's so many different levels. The day that it came out, and I think the following 72 hours, it's all anyone could talk about. And I was in so many debates about it. So yeah, it'll definitely, I'm excited to see where it goes. So
I got an interesting next question for you. Because Clubhouse is only an audio app, I've always wondered but when you actually go on the app, how does your body look like, and what do you do? Does that make sense? Sometimes I'm like on my side of my computer. I'm just like this. I'm just wondering sometimes what other people do. Like, do you put it on the phone or a tripod or something, or like what do you do?
That's such a good question. So are you talking about when I'm speaking or
physically
just in the room?
Yeah, physically when you're speaking in the room, like what are you doing? Like how's your setup like? I'll say that.
It's so funny. So I always have one of these with me, no matter what. I always have, tripods around at all times. They surround me. So I'll use them most often when I'm in a room. I'm just holding the phone, looking at it. I do need to probably prop it up more just from a posture standpoint. But when I'm talking, sometimes I'll be sitting. I'm usually standing and walking when I'm speaking because it's getting the energy flowing. So when I'm moderating, I typically do that. Everyone has their different comfort levels, but I think when you're speaking, it's important to have your energy up. It is, like you said, audio only, so people can't see any facial expressions. They can't see you gesticulating. They don't know any of that. So it all needs to come through your voice. And how do you do that? Well, movement is part of it.
Yeah. Brooke, do you think you became a better speaker or moderator because you went on Clubhouse?
For me, it's interesting. Coming from a speaking and hosting background, it's always been my sweet spot. I do see, though, that people that spend time on there and really work on it, they improve. I mean, that's clear, even in just a couple months' time. So that's really exciting. And it's proof that you can go on there and become a better speaker. So that's a really good point. I think it's excellent practice if you know what you're doing and not just fumbling in the dark,
That's interesting. What do you think is the difference, though, between like moderating in real life versus moderating in Clubhouse? Is there a difference? What do you think is the difference?
I think the biggest one, again, is that it's audio only, So it's similar to a podcast that way, where you take away the element of sight. So now that's gone and you have to completely rely on your voice. But in Clubhouse, it's kind of like Shark Tank, where if it depends on the room that you're in. If you're in a small room, that's fantastic. And there are tons of them. Yeah. But I think you know what I'm talking about. If you want to be with the big dogs in a larger room and you want your voice to be heard, you really need to stand out. And that does take practice. That does take focus.
Okay, since you brought up the larger rooms, let's say, there's a bunch of people waiting and it's finally your turn. How do you think people can make the most out of that when it's finally your turn in that big room?
Oh my gosh. I go into this in depth in the course. So I would say take the course and you'll learn exactly what to do and the formula. But a big part of it is confidence, having confidence, and then knowing, what to say and how to make the most of that time. Because quite often in those big rooms, you might be pulled up to the stage and only have 30 seconds, So how do you make the most of that time? And having a plan for that is really important.
Yeah, so when it comes to, moderating in Clubhouse, actually, I'm very interested. Are there things that you do not like about Clubhouse? The speaking side, the app?
That's a good question. I don't think so. I mean, I'm really loving it. I love that it allows for these beautiful, intimate conversations. And I don't mean romantic, but I mean just getting to know people. And this can be even for, entrepreneurs, getting to know other business people that you might want to work with. It allows you to cut through all the crap and just get to the heart of the matter and get to a human being to human being talking. So you get past all the filtered pictures on Instagram, all the, trolls on Twitter. That's something I like, is that there aren't many trolls. There are some, of course, that goes with any social media, but there are far fewer trolls on Clubhouse than anywhere else. I don't know if have you noticed that?
Well, when I was on, everyone was having a good conversation. There's nothing bad about that. Yeah,
it's like going to a networking event or like a real high level, Grant Cardone kind of mastermind.
Yeah. Okay, but whatever, some people are listening right now and they're tuning in. They're like, what kind of action items can I do? What would you suggest? Like, what can they do today or after watching this video and they want to go on Clubhouse? Like, what can they do to keep on starting right now, I guess, to improve?
Yeah, I would say really observe. So again, go on and see what's going on. Check out what other people are doing. So consume that. Look at it as a class. like you're taking a class in school and you want to read the material, you want to study, right? You're not just going to jump into whatever it is and take the test. So observe, see what other people are doing, see what's working, what's not, what feels good to you, what doesn't, and you'll be on your way. That's a great first step.
Yeah. And since you're talking about observing, Brooke, are there anything that you like from other moderators that you can share with us, maybe this week or this, last week? Anything you noticed that other people are doing that you're like, oh yeah, that's pretty good?
I think it's constant. I mean, we could be here forever. It's really constant. I think as long as you're attuned to what other people are doing, always, I say, when you're in a room, if you're not, leading the room and you don't have a million other things going on behind the scenes, if you're there as an audience member, or even if you're there as a speaker, have a notepad close by. Always have something where you can jot down things that you like, so that you can then start to incorporate that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Brooke, tell us again where they can go to sign up for your course if they're interested.
Sure. It's moderatingmadeeasy.com. That'll take you right there. And if you forget the name, that's perfectly fine. You can look me up online or go to BabbleOnBrooke.com, and all the information is there. And right now it's still in launch mode because it just was launched a couple weeks ago. So it's at a crazy, super discounted launch price, and that won't stay around for too much longer. So yeah, I would love for everyone who would like it to get it, and you can binge it. It's easily bingeable, and have all the material, and then go to work and make Clubhouse work for you.
Awesome. Look, I got two last questions for you, and somehow I was thinking about this. Resetting the room, okay?
Mm-hmm.
This is, how often should you reset the room?
Yeah, that's a question I get a lot. It depends on the room size. So if you're in a larger room and you notice that everyone is the same, in other words, no one's coming, no one's going, it doesn't need to be that often because they already know what's going on. However, if you're in a large room and where it's a revolving door, if you're talking about a room of, 1,000 and up, or even 500 and up, I would say every 15 to 20 minutes is what I like to do. It really, again, that goes back to being observant and being aware. I think that's one of the biggest things that people miss when they're moderating. They're just not aware. They're in their own world. But it's a collaborative experience. It's social media, so you need to be aware.
All right. Brooke, I want to say thank you for taking the time to share with us everything Clubhouse today. Of course, this is just the start of the conversation. Brooke, what I like to do at the end of our interviews is I would like to ask you, what's your 1-minute message about how to moderate like a boss on Clubhouse? Okay, what's your 1-minute message about how to moderate like a boss on Clubhouse? What would you say?
1-minute message. Ooh. Gosh, 1-minute message. Now I feel like it needs to be alliteration because obviously I'm BabbleOn Brooke, and then 1-minute message. I love alliteration. Let's see. All right. 1-minute message. I would say get started now. Don't waste any time. If you think about Clubhouse now in 2021, it's like Instagram 6 or 7, 8 years ago. So get started now so that you're ahead of the curve. Anyone that is on the app now is an early adopter. If you can believe this, the app is still in beta. So while it's in beta, that's the super sweet time to start getting your feet wet, get in there, make connections, and grow. Because once it hits a certain part, it's going to be the tipping point. And then, all heck breaks loose. So right now, get in there while you can before it opens up to Android. So if you're an iPhone, iOS user, get on there, make sure that you get an invite and get on and start using. Like, do not wait. Now is the time. That would be my 1-minute message that I know it lacked alliteration, but it's also still early in the morning for me. So I
thought that was pretty good. And if you're still tuning in right now, that means you want to be a better speaker. You want to be a better speaker in real life or on Clubhouse, just like what Brooke was saying. get on there. What can you lose? You can always, if you never tried it before, what can you lose? You can download it, just delete it. But if you want to step up your skills as a moderator, Brooke is an expert. Whenever she's in Clubhouse, she always has the rooms packed, okay? Now, I just want to say again, go give Brooke a follow because she is amazing. If you want to step up your game as a moderator, you have to keep on speaking, right? Public speaking or speaking is a verb. You have to take action. So, Brooke, I want to say thank you once again for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Kit. It was great speaking with you.
Yeah, thank you. And everyone, take